What if a book had secrets? Not just in the words it contains, but in its very design, its layout, its geometry. Today, we're diving into some fascinating claims about incredible visual and numerical patterns supposedly discovered in the Quran many centuries after it was first written. Let's see what the source material has to say.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The first claims we're going to look at really challenge what you even think a book's layout can be. We're talking about some truly strange and beautiful manuscript designs.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Imagine trying to write a whole book where every single line on every single page has to start with the exact same letter. Well, one Quranic manuscript from Lahore, Pakistan, is said to do just that. Every line begins with the letter Aleph. It's an incredible constraint to imagine.
And that's not even the only example. There's another manuscript that's described as having perfect mirror symmetry on every single page. You know, where the first line and the last line start with the same letter, the second line and the second to the last line match, and so on all the way down to the middle? It's a claim of some really deep, intentional, structural art.
So those are some pretty unique, one-of-a-kind examples. But what about the version of the Quran that most people see today? Well, its origin story, at least as our source tells it, starts with a single calligrapher on a quest for perfection.
Can you imagine that level of dedication? Writing the entire Quran by hand 106 times. The calligrapher, Hafiz Osman, wasn't just copying text. He was on a mission. He was convinced that the secret to the best way to write the Quran was actually hidden inside the book itself.
And the method he reportedly landed on was, well, beautifully simple. He decided to let the Quran set its own rules. So, the length of every line on the page, he based that on the length of the Quran's shortest chapter. And the length of the entire page, he based that on its longest single verse.
And the result of this simple method was apparently astonishing. The verses just fell into this perfect grid. Every single page started with a brand new verse and ended with a complete one. No verse was ever broken up between two pages. This layout worked so incredibly well that it became a global standard, the one that so many people are familiar with today.
But the story doesn't stop there. Decades after Hafiz Osman's layout was widely adopted, another scholar claimed he found an even deeper layer of patterns, not in the page structure, but in the specific placement of key words on the page.
He called this whole idea divine alignment. What he noticed was that sacred names weren't just scattered randomly, it was like they were forming these invisible vertical lines, which the source describes as being like beads on a fiber.
Let's look at a really clear example from the source. On this one page, page 35, the word Rabb, which means Lord, is said to appear 5 times. And as you can see, the claim is that they're all directly below each other, forming this perfect straight column.
And it gets even wilder. This alignment idea isn't just about what's happening on one page. Here, we're looking at a 2-page spread. The name Allah is claimed to appear 4 times on the left page and 4 times on the right, in positions that would perfectly mirror each other when the book is open.
Now, this next one is, wow. It's not just about the placement of words, it's about their meaning. On the front of this one page, the name of the prophet Yusuf, or Joseph, appears, and on the backside, supposedly in the exact same spot through the paper, is the word Jamil, which means beautiful, one of his most famous qualities.
All right, let's pull the camera back a bit. We've been looking at single pages, or 2 pages facing each other. But the source claims these connections can stretch across hundreds of pages at a time. So to show you what that means, our source points to the famous story of the people of the cave. In the verse that describes them, their loyal dog gets a mention. Just remember that phrase, what kalbahum, which means, and their dog.
Okay, so now we leap forward. Not a page or 2. We're jumping 141 pages later in the book.
And right there, the dog's name, Qitmir, is mentioned. So here's the punchline. The absolutely remarkable claim is that when you physically close the book, the phrase, and their dog, from way back on page 294, and the name Qitmir on page 435 align perfectly on the exact same horizontal line through all those pages.
So we've looked at all these visual patterns, right? But the source says it's not just about the geometry. Apparently, similar patterns of incredible symmetry can be found in the numbers too, specifically in how many times certain words appear.
So check out some of these numbers presented in the source. They are pretty wild. The word for day is said to appear 365 times, the word for month 12 times. Okay? Interesting. But then look at the opposites. Angel and devil are claimed to appear in perfect balance, 88 times each. Same thing for paradise and hell, and for man and woman.
The source then drills down from the entire book into its longest single chapter, Surah al-Baqarah, to highlight another one of these claims' numerical patterns.
Here's the math. According to the source, this chapter has 286 verses. Within it, the name Allah appears exactly 282 times. The pronoun huwa, meaning he and referring to Allah, appears 4 times. Add them together, and what do you get? 286, a perfect match to the number of verses in that chapter.
Okay, so we've got visual patterns, page design, word alignments across hundreds of pages, incredible number counts. What does it all mean? Well, the source pulls all of these different threads together to make one big argument.
The argument being made is that no human author could have possibly orchestrated all of this. Why? Well, think about it. The text was revealed in bits and pieces over 23 years, often in response to real-time events you couldn't control. The final order of the book is different from the order it was revealed in. The Prophet Muhammad himself was unlettered. And maybe the most critical point, he never pointed to any of these patterns himself. They were supposedly only discovered centuries later. And that is where the source material leaves us, with this final question. After presenting all of this visual and numerical data, it asks, for a generation that says, I have to see it to believe it, could these observable patterns be considered a kind of miracle? A really provocative thought to end on.